Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job?
Be like everybody else.
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher.
You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess?
What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
The following program was provided by an independent producer, solely responsible for its content. The views, information, or opinions expressed during this program series are solely those of the host and guests appearing on the program and do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Brainstorm, bringing great minds and ideas together, exploring a wide variety of opportunities, achieving academic excellence, using the latest technology, government's impact, preparing for 21st century careers, parenting and health issues, topics shaping tomorrow. Brainstorm with Lisa Willever, bringing great minds and ideas together.
Hi, welcome to Brainstorm. I'm Lisa Willever, and today we're talking about Rotary International's Interact Club. And before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about our topic. While the needs of the world can often seem overwhelming, it's always heartening to see others who give back. For many, the act of giving our time, resources, and energy is its own reward. Rotary International has been encouraging this type of international service, but with a focus on problem solving and developing leadership skills. The Interact program for students 12 to 18 years old promises to help young people develop the skills, connections, and confidence to do more with their lives than they ever dreamed possible. While these young people are busy helping the world, they are also experiencing remarkable lessons in leadership, fellowship, and international understanding. So joining me today, I have Mr. Bill Graham. Bill, you are with Rotary International. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your background?
Okay. I've been in business and working with kids for a long time here. My passion has been youth and education for more than 40 years, although my background is more in the business side. I had spent my early life in Europe, and when I came back to the States, I realized that there was quite a gap. My son, at the age of 12, was getting the same math he had had 3 years earlier in Germany.
Really?
Even though we were in the faculty town of a major university. I also was very disappointed because I looked to build my company using college graduates from a pretty renowned university here in the US. And I found that they had problems really meeting our needs. Talked to the university and ended up being on the faculty there to build a program that would deliver the kinds of students I would have liked to be able to hire. After a couple of years of that, I realized college was too late. I was fortunately financially able to do what I wanted, and I took a couple of years and I talked to teachers pretty much around the country, Missouri, Texas, Georgia, the entire Northeast, what was going on with education.
Really?
So I ended up doing some projects to demonstrate motivation. Did 3 projects. We averaged about 100,000 students each. And as a result of that, really realized that young people, if you get them motivated, they can do amazing things. And I had to go back to work finally, and I got to the point about 5-6 years ago where I could again do what I wanted to focus on with youth and education. I joined Rotary and started looking to how can we motivate young people to really take on the major problems of the world.
Wow, what an amazing project. Now, Rotary International, I've seen the signs on the road.
Yeah.
I think everybody's familiar.
Yes.
But I think there is kind of a gap in understanding of what Rotary actually does. Can you share with my viewers, because my viewers are all over the country, and I'm sure, as I said, they've heard of Rotary, they know you do such great work, but what is Rotary?
Yes. Up until a little 3.5 years ago, I had the same thing. I was out asking a colleague and saying, you know, I want to make a major impact in the world, and my success in business was making alliances and partnerships. I wanted to find some people that shared my passion to want to make a difference. And he said, did you ever hear of Rotary? And he ended up getting me to a meeting because I'd only seen the signs until then also. And in that meeting, we had a gentleman stand up and talk about how polio was the driving, or how Rotary was the driving force to end polio. And at the time they started, polio was endemic in more than half the countries in the world, 350,000 new cases of polio a year. And Rotary spearheaded the drive to end that disease, and now we're down to less than 50 cases a year in just a couple of countries.
Less than 50.
Less than 50. And so another year or two, and polio will be history. And so then I heard for the first time service above self, which is the motto of Rotary, and that was enough for me. I said, where do I sign?
Yeah, it sounds right up your alley from everything you've
Exactly.
been doing your whole life.
And so got started and realized here the biggest opportunities. Rotary is all about leadership. The motto of the past Rotary president that came up with the idea to end polio was Rotary is about creating opportunities for people to do more with their lives than they ever dreamed possible. So that's what I've taken on to heart here, is to say, how do we help young people be able to have those kind of opportunities to do more with their lives than they ever dreamed possible?
You know, that's such a great mission. And I was doing a little homework, reading about Rotary, and you have some very fine company. And while I know every Rotarian is very important, there are some that are very recognizable. Here's the list I came up with. JFK, FDR, Neil Armstrong, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, J.C. Penney, my grandmother's favorite, she's a huge KFC fan, Colonel Sanders, Charles Lindbergh, Thomas Edison, Orville Wright, Walt Disney, and Pope Francis.
Yeah, and Winston Churchill. The list goes on and on and on. Rotary is about bringing civic and business leaders together and to figure out how they can apply their leadership skills to better the world.
So now you have a club in high schools called Interact.
Right.
And it stands for International Action. And the purpose of this has evolved into where you now would like to have your participants gain those leadership skills. Tell me a little bit about that.
That has always been part of the mission of Interact from the beginning. It's about creating service-oriented leaders. And when we look here, we're talking young people, and young people are just beginning to feel their wings, to feel that what can they do? And it's our role to mentor and foster that ability, encourage them. Go out there, look at what everybody else says is impossible. You know, once we reach a certain age, we judge everything and we say, gee, do we really think we can do that? Maybe not. Young people look at it and say, we need to do this, and let's figure out how. And that's what we're looking to do, encourage young people to dare to be great. That's our motto here that we're pushing with regards to Interact, at least in our district and some of the surrounding districts now. To encourage young people to go out there, see the needs, focus on the needs, and don't worry about whether it looks possible or not. In fact, go look for the ones that are impossible, because the easy ones, somebody else will do them. Go find the tough ones.
And it's this generation, every time you have a generation coming up, they're the generation of why not?
Yes,
why can't we do it?
Exactly.
And you know, I think it's amazing that you're propelling them to answer those questions, why not? And what can I do? Now, Rotary is an adult organization, but you have the Interact clubs. What's the interaction between the actual Rotary organization? Do they interact with, do they sponsor a specific high school club?
Every Interact club is sponsored by a Rotary club.
Oh, okay, so there's a direct connection.
There's a direct connection. Now, the degree here, the Interact clubs are encouraged to operate pretty independently, to come up with the ideas. We are starting, because the world has become so much smaller with technology, we're really encouraging more and more young people to work together with young people around the world, because when they work together and come up with those ideas, we can start dealing with getting rid of the fear of the number million.
Yeah.
Whether it's looking, how do we raise $1 million for a cause? Or how do we mobilize 1 million people? Or how do we help 1 million kids that today have very little options in life?
Well, and I think bringing the two different generations together, the established business leaders, civic leaders, along with our children, who are just, as you said, they're starting to evolve, they're getting their wings. What a powerful combination to actually, really affect change.
That's it, the agents of change. Although what I'm seeing more and more is it's not so much the Rotary clubs going down and saying, come on, kids, you can do this. It's more the young people going to the Rotary clubs and saying, we're out to change the world. Are you ready to help us?
Well, you know what? Now that you brought that up, we have 2 of the Interact students with us here. So we are going to take a break. And when we come back, I will have 2 of the Interact high school students here to explain from their perspective what Interact is and how it's helping the world. We'll be right back.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to Brainstorm. We are continuing our conversation about the Rotary International Interact Clubs. And joining me today, I have 2 very special guests, Ariana Novo and Sadeshna Vamula. Girls, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, you are both members of Interact? Okay, so first, before we talk about Interact, why don't you each tell me a little bit about yourselves? Sadeshna, why don't you go first?
So I go to Middlesex County Academy, and it's a VOTech school, so we major in an engineering course. And I got involved in Interact 4 years ago, and I'm on track to be the vice president of next year's club.
Congratulations, that's wonderful. And Ariana, how about you?
Well, I also go to Middlesex County Academy. I'm going to be president next year. Apart from Interact,
a dynamic duo here.
Yes, dynamic duo.
I like that. Go ahead.
Well, apart from Interact, I try to do a lot of community service within my town, Old Bridge, hospital, library, things like that.
I have to tell you, as the generation that came before you, I feel much better knowing that you will one day be leading us. That's really good to know.
Nice.
So tell me about Interact. Want to go?
Yeah, sure. So Interact is a community service club, but I think one of the main problems is that the goal of Interact is for it to be considered a leadership development club as along with a community service club. And the problem is that a lot of students, what they see is it's just something to put on their college apps. It's something that they can say, okay, well, we did the community service, and then that's it. And they bypass it for more interesting clubs, and that's the problem that's been happening with a lot of schools as well.
Okay.
So the goal of Interact is something else.
But that's all changing super quickly. I mean, Interact is about creating opportunities for young people to do more with their lives than they ever dreamed possible. And I'm going to be saying that quite a bit, but that's because
I love that. That should be said like every day. Every kid should get up and say that as they're brushing, well, maybe not brushing their teeth, but once they're done brushing their teeth, they should say that. Go ahead.
It's one of like the central ideas of Rotary and especially Interact. It's about providing young kids with the facilities to make a serious impact on the world. Most of Interact is about community service projects, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're super fun, but like Ariana mentioned, Interact is about developing future leaders. So providing them with opportunities to think big and make not just a small dent in a problem, but completely eradicate a problem is what Interact is trying to do.
Wow. So in the past, I know even with my kids for different things, they had to get so many hours. So they would pick something, somebody would sign off, yes, you've completed 20 hours. But what you're saying is that's great, but take it a step beyond so that you actually have some input in the project. You're not just making the sandwiches and passing them out. You're figuring out how we can get people food for other times during the day, something like that.
Perfect,
so the big picture.
Yes, definitely. Interact is about looking at the big picture, how we can change the problems in the world.
So now you're teenagers. Teenagers tend to have very busy lives. How do you fit Interact into a very busy life? How would you tell other kids? I mean, it can be done, obviously, you're both doing it. How can they do that? They might think they don't have time. How do they do it?
Well, I mean, being a teenager, we have school and grades and all of that, but when you think of what we're doing in the long terms, we're making a change in the world, and it's not work to us. I can honestly say, and I'm sure Ariana agrees, that it's just fun to do when you come home and work on Rotary, Interact a little bit, our project, and try to do more. You don't even see the time flying by, and we think of it as the impact that we're having. It doesn't seem so hard as we're doing it.
I think that's probably the best endorsement you could have given Interact is that you get excited to do it. You're almost, it's like finally a place where you can apply all the things you've been learning in school. You can apply it to real world things that make a difference in people's lives. I mean, I've read the projects and the things that you tackle with your problem solving and your leadership with water programs and tutoring and academics. There's so many things. The list probably goes on. Tell me about Dare to Be Great.
So Dare to Be Great is the initiative that's been trying to be spread in Rotary right now, in Interact because that's the high school division. So right now the theme for Rotary for this year was Rotary Making a Difference. So we think that the best way for us to make a difference in the world is if we actually have the confidence and the ability to take on these major problems in the world. So that's what Dare to Be Great is. It literally means daring to be great and daring to take on these problems.
So you're not shying away from the big problems. You're actually actively seeking, like, bring us the biggest problems you have, and this generation will tackle them.
Yes.
How empowering that. I'm so motivated by the two of you. Go on.
So when Mr. Graham, we met him for the first time, he proposed this Dare to Be Great initiative to us, and we were instantly inspired. And we took the inspiration of our project from a group of elementary schools right here in New Jersey. So they organized a readathon to promote literacy in their own hometown while also eradicating child illiteracy due to hunger in foreign countries. So how they did this was a readathon in their school, and they were able to raise enough money to dramatically change the lives of about 250 kids. So there were 70 kids participating in this readathon, and so each kid had an impact on 3 other kids' lives, and that's more than most people can say that they've done. And so we took that as inspiration for our project called Rotary Youth for a Better World. And how we started this was actually a very small video in my house, and we stacked up a couple of books, put a small camera on top, and filmed ourselves daring youth in the world to take up the Sustainable Development Goals and make them their own and change the world. And since then, we posted the video, and it's gotten 23,000 views up till this date. And we've had people from all around the world emailing, sending us messages, or emailing us, asking us, how can we get involved? What can we do? And it's been incredible. We've been able to work with representatives from over 40 different countries that are all part of this movement that all care about changing the world.
Yeah, that's honestly been one of my favorite parts about this.
You girls are fearless.
Thank you.
We wouldn't have been able to do it, though, without all of the people who come and they want to get involved. They really actively, they see something like this happen and they say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do with my life.
But it all comes together, and we need you, but we need more people. So hopefully all the viewers all over the country will be so inspired by what you are doing, because I'm inspired. And you know what this means. You know, when you see the papers, you know this is time to brainstorm the games. So I am going to, in the tradition of brainstorming, I will read 8 ideas. We will decide if they are good, we'll keep them. And if they're not so good, we're gonna do like in brainstorming, ball them up and throw them out. Have you been practicing?
I'm
You've been changing the world, so that's okay. That's okay. So idea number 1, interact clubs promote global understanding.
That's a good idea.
Okay, and I think that's amazing. You must be the child of a Rotarian to join.
Complete.
Good. Let people know that is not the case.
We are both not child.
Yeah.
See that? Okay,
I don't think my
so now
parents even
people
knew
know.
what Rotary was.
And 2 points. Look at that. I didn't know until today.
basketball
This is
star.
wonderful. We're sharing this with so many people. Idea 3, you must have good grades to join.
No, not.
So it's not based on grades or academics.
Definitely not.
It's just about working hard and wanting. Oh, so close.
I did not. Look, here it is. That was great. Idea 4, interact clubs are hard to find.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Very good. And we want to see more of them after today.
Yeah. Anyone can come up with an idea, as long as you just have the willpower.
Oh, you are on fire. Okay. Learning about other cultures leads to peace.
Yeah,
I love that, actually.
I really agree with that.
That's really nice.
Interact clubs promote leadership.
Definitely. And that's
Good.
what we're trying to say here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said it beautifully. Number 7, many famous and successful people have been Rotarians.
That's true. I remember you mentioned the list.
Yeah, I read the list earlier in the show. Amazing.
Winston Churchill, that's great.
And finally, interact makes leadership, makes learning about leadership boring.
I think I read that one. No.
What? Okay,
Hopefully
here's
I
your
get
chance
this
for
one.
redemption.
Oh, yay!
Yay.
Okay, girls, I can't thank you enough. This was so enlightening and inspiring. So I wish you all the luck in the world. Come back on the show and let us know some of the projects, how things are working out. So thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Brainstorm. I'm Lisa Willever, and I'm joined by a very special guest from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Surya Senthil Kumar is with me today to talk about Interact at her high school. Surya, welcome to Brainstorm.
Hi.
So why don't you first tell me about your high school? What's the name of your school? How many students attend?
So I go to Lebanon Trail High School. We're a new school, so we currently only have freshmen and sophomores, but next year we'll also have juniors and then seniors. We have around 500 students in each grade, but our Interact chapter is actually for all of our school districts. So within our school district, we have about 9 high schools, each with 4 grade levels and 500 in each grade level.
So Surya, tell me about some of the projects that you're currently working on through your high school's Interact Club.
Right. So we recently just sent 2 of our students to Nicaragua. They went and they helped build a well and they helped give electricity to a small town that's never had such privileges. So they came back and they told me about like the looks on the little kids' faces when they saw a light bulb in their school for the first time. They were so shocked. They were so excited. So I think that's something great because it's a global movement. It's not just in our community. So I think that's really amazing that we have the opportunity to help people in Nicaragua. I think that's crazy.
And it's such life-changing events. You know, bringing somebody electricity, we don't always realize how we take these things for granted until we go somewhere and we find people who've never had them. So I applaud the projects that you're doing. It's so exciting to hear about. Do you have any other projects you'd like to share?
Yeah, so while we do want to create an impact globally, we also recognize that there are so many little things that we can do in our community. While they may not have such a such a large impact, but they are important to be investing in our own community as well. So recently, we hosted a second chance prom for a nearby nursing home. So this obviously isn't as big, but we just picked a couple of nursing homes and we decorated the place. We had food, we had caterers, we had music, and we talked to the people living in the nursing home. We danced with them. We just had a really nice time. And they were all super excited because they're stuck in the same building and they talk to the same people, and it was really fun for them to be able to talk to outsiders. So I think that was also a really nice experience.
Well, they say there's no such thing as a small good deed, so I think you really are such an example for everything. What is it about Interact that really makes students become strategic thinkers and leaders and so innovative? What is it about Interact that you think really fosters those skills?
I think Interact's really great because we get to talk to our local Rotary chapters, which is very important because those are actual adult Rotarians who have been through the whole process. They've been like probably volunteering in their neighborhood as kids, and then eventually when they're moving on to college, they're taking up bigger service projects. And now as adults, they still think service is a really huge part of their lives, and they feel that it's important for everyone to have that same service before self mindset. So I think it's great that as Interactors, we're able to talk to those actual Rotarians because we have a club that sponsors every Interact club, right? So I think it's great that we can talk to those Rotarians and see and get a different perspective on things. So I think that's what really shapes Interact, because more than other volunteering or service clubs, Interact is the only club that has an adult portion of it as well.
Yeah, I definitely, from all the Interactors I've spoken to, I really hear that the sponsorship from the Rotary clubs is so important. Mm-hmm. And I think it's unbelievable that you're a sophomore and that you're the president and that you've been taking over all these projects. That's really speaks volumes to your character and to motivation. What would you say to younger students who are considering joining Rotary's Interact Club?
Well, I definitely say do it because it's the best decision that I've ever made in my life. It's given me a great deal of exposure and a new perspective to things that I never thought I'd be part of. So I was super shocked when I came across Interact, and I was talking to my Spanish teacher at the time, and I asked her, what is Interact? And she was like, well, Interact is something that we do in order to help kids gain a greater exposure. Because she said that she believes in investing in our future generations because they're going to be the future leaders of this world, and it's important that they have the proper mindset, which is us. So I thought it was really great because as much as I love being competitive and I love going to basketball tournaments, I also do love service, and I understand that our future generations need to have that service above self mindset in order for this world to better as a whole.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm very curious because you are such a self-starter. What are you looking for as a career? Has Interact shaped what you're looking to do as you grow up? Is college in your future? What type of career path?
Yeah, so Interact has definitely played a huge part in my life. So right now, I was looking into medicine, so maybe becoming a doctor of some sort. But then now that I think about it, I almost want to go into political sciences to use medicine for the greater good, maybe Doctors Without Borders or something that has to do with service, but also the science aspect as well, because I am definitely interested in that.
Well, you are definitely an example of somebody who has really just grown and benefited from your experience with Interact. And this show airs in so many different parts of the country, and all of the Interactors I've spoke to have just had such great, heartwarming, and inspirational stories. So I want to thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge of Interact with our viewers, and hopefully they will encourage their children and their grandchildren and neighbors' children to all get involved, because all of you kids, you're making such a difference and you are the leaders of tomorrow. So Surya, thank you so much. I have to tell you, Fort Worth is one of my favorite vacation places. Next time my family comes, we are going to look you up and see how we could help you.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. And for our Brainstorm viewers, we want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Brainstorm. We'll see you next time.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help,